11.
Sorry.
Rise.
Okay.
Recently, I was reading an article by Nathaniel Allen on Africa's evolving cyber threats. It stated how Pegasus malware, amongst the most sophisticated pieces of software, had infected systems in 11 African countries. This highlighted the rising significance of cyber threats to African nations. How do African organizations address this challenge? Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Victor Repo, and I'll be presenting to you a paper titled Cyber4Dev Security Culture Model for African Countries, authored by Professor Adele de Vega and myself. With the rapid growth and expansion of internet and internet-based technologies like cloud computing, cybersecurity threats have also grown exponentially. Developing countries, especially those in Africa, are highly susceptible to these threats due to the myriad challenges that these African countries face. These include inadequate technological infrastructure, low literacy rates, poverty, which harm cybersecurity awareness. As a result, Africa is a very soft target for cyber criminals. With these pitfalls in mind, Cyber Resilience for Development, in short, Cyber4Dev, which is a European Union project which seeks to ensure that developing countries enjoy a digital environment that is open, irrepressible, and secure. But unfortunately, Africa, under the Union of the African Union banner, the countries in that union have not fully complied with their own convention on cybersecurity and personal data protection due to a multiple number of challenges which are faced on the continent. This paper seeks to conduct a scoping literature review of the scholarly literature on cyber resilience for development security culture within the context of African nations. The Cyber4Dev project is a relatively new concept and thus still has limited available literature. Therefore, the authors reviewed the literature on the broad concept of information security culture with a bias towards African countries due to their unique governance, poverty, infrastructure, and literacy challenges, which hamper efficient and effective cybersecurity culture development. The authors reviewed and consolidated information from 40 articles on information security culture and proposed a Cyber4Dev security culture model for use by organizations in the African continent. As already stated, Cyber4Dev security culture is a new concept with very little scholarly literature available for study or review. African countries have unique information security challenges that include inadequate legal frameworks, technological inadequacies, lack of requisite human resource skills and security. Many of these African internet users are not technically skilled, with a large percentage of them having restricted access to computers and the internet itself. In Mozambique, for example, there's a scarcity of awareness programs skill development, and cybersecurity training and education. In Gambia, by September 2020, there were no known programs that were run by the government on cybersecurity awareness. Though literature on information security culture is abound, there is limited focus to adapt and implement it within an African context. This paper aims to define Cyber4Dev security culture from an African perspective and contribute to this area's limited body of knowledge. In line with achieving this objective, the authors formulated the following research questions. Which are the models or frameworks developed for Cyber4Dev security culture? What factors should be considered when creating a Cyber4Dev security culture model? Let us begin by defining the terms information security culture, cybersecurity culture, and Cyber4Dev security culture. When we refer to information security culture, we speak about the assumptions, ethics, and attitudes that employees share about the safety of institutional data. This culture is a subculture of the organizational culture, and it encompasses the employees' everyday responsibilities, their guidelines, their activities, and practices that should actually assist them in protecting the firm's information assets. The rapid development of new technologies in the information and communication technology industry has also led to an exponential growth in information security risks. Information security culture helps to secure security risks within organizations by promoting safe cyber practices by individuals. Human capital plays a crucial role in securing organizations from cyber threats. Any institutional intervention to curb cyber threats which does not take the human element into cognizance dismally falls short of the requisite expectations. Social and national cultures like obedience to authority can impact an individual's attitudes and assumptions and thus shape an information security culture. Furthermore, information security culture is dynamic and ever-changing, and thus a balance between stability and constant evolution is needed to ensure that organizations adequately protect their information assets. Cybersecurity culture, on the other hand, is a subset of information security culture that describes how users protect data in cyberspace. A Cyber4Dev security culture, likewise, can be defined as a people-driven cyber-safe actions and behaviors that protect organizations' information assets in developing countries. This culture takes cognizance of the shared assumptions, ethics, and attitudes of employees in African organizations towards the protection of information assets. Adopting a Cyber4Dev security culture will ensure that employee interactions with information resources will not harm the institutions via the information superhighway. Employees are adequately trained, can become an organization's most vital link when it comes to security of information resources. A Cyber4Dev security culture will ensure that individuals within African organizations make accountable decisions and take responsible actions that safeguard organizations' information assets. The term cybersecurity refers to the protection of computer systems from theft, damage, or manipulation of their hardware, software, or data. In Africa, technology adoption is increasing at an exponential rate, with mobile smart device ownership, social media usage, and the Internet of Things becoming a reality. Even the most pessimistic data suggests that Africa is on course to make considerable progress and contribute to global growth. However, with increased affluence comes new dangers and vulnerabilities that may jeopardize development. Africa is exposed to cyber threats and possible harms due to limitless cyberspace, which does not recognize borders, inadequate information security funding, and weak legislation. In many African countries, cybersecurity is still seen as a luxury rather than a need, with firms' cybersecurity budgets being less than 1%, and many organizations have no cybersecurity budget at all, according to the World Bank's 2016-2017 Global Cybersecurity Report. Cyber awareness is described as employees' understanding towards the security of the organization's information assets. Being security conscious entails being aware of the risks associated with an organization's information assets and how to protect them. Unfortunately, the lack of understanding within Africa about the risks of accessing cyberspace contributes to a permissive climate for cybercrime. African countries' digital infrastructure development level harms their security position, with cyber criminals taking advantage of pure security habits. Significance of information security awareness in reducing the risks associated with data security breaches cannot be overstated. Several organizations, like the African Information Security Initiative, have previously emphasized the importance of continental collaboration and increased cybersecurity awareness. Africa could benefit immensely from guidelines to promote a security culture that is adaptable to the African context. A Cyber4Dev security culture would encourage governments, employees, and individuals to take the lead in combating cybersecurity threats through awareness raising, legislation, and performing cyber-safe practices. This paper will focus on Cyber4Dev security culture in Africa, a continent with a population with insufficient cyber skills, limited security awareness, inadequate infrastructure, and few training institutions that focus on cyber awareness. Reviews give a broad overview of a specific topic without much regard for the quality of the study. This paper utilizes the preferred reporting items for systematic review and meta-analysis PRISMA method. The methodology has two components, namely a systematic review and a meta-analysis. Its objective is to ensure that literature reviews are conducted transparently and produce repeatable results. Authors selected 4 electronic databases, namely the Association of Computing Machinery, ACM, Electrical and Electronic Engineers, IEEE, Scopus, and Web of Science. Each database had unique filtering tools to screen the large number of papers obtained from the initial search. The table on your screen lists the databases and the search strings, i.e. the keywords used in each of the initial broad searches conducted by the author. The articles had to meet a specific criteria. Firstly, all papers should be from published journals and conference papers. Secondly, the paper should be written in English between 2015 and 2021. Thirdly, the subject areas were limited to computer science and engineering. And finally, the country/regions were restricted to countries in Africa. And after searching within the databases, the article title, article abstract, author names, and the journal name, keywords, and the publication year of the identified articles were then exported as a CSV file into Microsoft Excel. The authors then screened the selected papers by going through the article, abstracts, and keywords. From the 925 articles retrieved from the databases, 797 were discarded based on abstract review and duplicate removal. After a full text review of the articles, a further 88 articles were discarded, leaving 40 articles used in this study. Results were as follows. Of the chosen articles, 21 were journal articles and 19 were from conference papers. Many of these articles were published in 2015, that's 14 of them, with the least number published in 2018 with 3 and 2020 with 3. The summary of these is actually on your screen right now. The bulk of analyzed articles, that's 29, had a clear definition of information security culture. The rest of the papers, which were 11, did not even give a definitive definition for either security culture or information security culture, although the terms were used within the articles. In summary, a Cyber4Dev security culture was defined as people-driven cyber-safe activities and behaviors that protect developing country organizations' information assets. The definition highlighted the important role of people in the success of an information security culture within African organizations. Most publications, that's 28, examined created conceptual models or based their studies on specific framework or a model. Information Security Culture Framework, ISCF, was the most often used or altered framework model in the publications. Other identified models included the Organizational Security Culture Model, Information Security Shared Tacit Espoused Values Model, STOPE, which is the Strategy, Technology, Organization, People and Environment Framework, and TOE, Technology, Organization and Environment Model. The bulk of publications included information security culture factors. In the table below, which you see on your screen, summarizes the factors considered vital in developing an information security culture from these articles. Only factors with more than 10 citations were included. Looking at articles with an African bias, in total 13 papers were retrieved with an African perspective. Information security training was the most significant component influencing the healthy information security culture in African organizations, which is in line with the work of the African Information Society and other related organizations who emphasize the importance of information security training. African organizations utilize information security training to avoid and mitigate user risk by helping users and employees understand their role in preventing and mitigating information security breaches. African countries fell short in cyber-safe policy formulation and implementation, thus exposing organizations to innumerable cyber threats. Economic, technological, and social, cultural, environmental factors were prominently highlighted by African authors. Economic factors refer to financial or monetary conditions within African countries that affect the organization's ability to implement effective information security practices. The technology factors in the context of Africa encompass the numerous infrastructural and technical requirements for the effective protection of organizational information assets. The social, cultural, and environmental factors are the forces inside societies that shape people's views, beliefs, and behaviors. These influences have a bearing on how individuals perceive the importance of cyber-safe practices and organizational information assets. The summary of these factors that affect African countries is on the current slide you are viewing. From the analysis of the 13 papers written by African authors or with an African perspective on information security culture, 5 factors were identified as the most influential in instilling a good information security culture within organizations in Africa. These were derived from the table I displayed earlier on. Compliance and trust, top management support, and information security awareness and sharing factors from the previous table were incorporated to define the proposed model that you see on your screen right now. The figure that you see depicts the proposed Cyber4Dev security culture model with the 8 factors. According to the model, the information security culture influencing factors on the left and right have a beneficial impact on instituting an information security culture within organizations in Africa. Information security training, information security awareness and sharing, information security policy and regulations, and top management support, those are the factors which are on the right, were most influential, according to authors, in promoting an ideal information security culture in organizations. The interplay of these 8 components can contribute to foster an information security culture that could be of benefit to African countries. In conclusion, the Cyber4Dev security culture model proposed in this paper provides a foundation for African countries and organizations to build a successful information security culture to secure information assets. The model's application to any African business would emphasize its employees' awareness of and interactions with information assets, resulting in a positive impact and protection against numerous information security dangers posed by insiders. A Cyber4Dev security culture would encourage governments, employees, and individuals to take the lead in combating information security threats through awareness raising, legislation, and performing cyber-safe practices. A limitation of the study, however, is that this model is conceptual. Future work will aim to validate the model with cybersecurity experts from Africa using a qualitative method to further expand the model for implementation as part of a case study to test it. Furthermore, in future work, the literature review could cover more than the 5-year period covered in this paper and include other domains in information security culture. Thank you very much.